Well, the Brewers have lost 3 in a row. Is there a need to panic? Is this thing going the wrong way all of a sudden? Well, there's one thing, obviously, they got to worry about. We'll get to that and Christian Yelich and a few other things. Next, you're on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a rainy night in Wisconsin where Pat Murphy hoped for a rain delay or a rain out on Wednesday. They are so short on pitching right now, and we'll see what's going to happen with Wade Miley. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Chuck Freeman, second-year host of Locked On Brewers, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, sports talk show host, you name it. There's a few other platforms I'm on during the week as far as making appearances for Locked On Brewers. WCLO in Janesville, the Bill Michaels Radio Network, ESPN 105.5 in Lacrosse ESPN, John Papadopoulos. I'm on with him on just, I tweet that out. Mondays, Tuesdays, early in the week, I'm on with a lot of those guys, but I appreciate them having them on. And of course, being on Locked On Brewers, talking our favorite sports team, the Milwaukee Brewers. You get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads. And of course, go to our growing YouTube page, hit Locked On Brewers, go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Hit all your alerts on whatever platform you watch us on so you'll never miss an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Well, the Brewers did lose, and it couldn't have been a worse start for the Brewers. I mean, you could have got up, gone to the bathroom, depending how long it takes you to go to the bathroom, and be back and the bases were loaded for the San Diego Padres in the top half of the first inning. I mean, that was quick. Couple of base hits, and another guy reaching. Wade Miley eventually taking one off the knee. It just got bad for the Brewers in that first inning, and it just was a bad start. And they ended up losing by the count of 6-2. Had a couple of threats in this game, but they got down early 4-0. I really thought the way things were going this year, my confidence was there that they were going to battle back and make a little noise in this game, but they didn't. Just a bad start. And I'm hearing a lot of this. Well, the Brewers just aren't catching any breaks. That's sports. Okay, we talked about this last night. Oh, the Padres are getting some breaks. Oh, the Brewers are hitting some rockets, so they're not. No. Nobody was saying when the Brewers were 10-3 that they were getting some breaks or this and that. That's just the way sports is. So, I just refuse to go down that road, that jinx roll, or any of that sort of thing. It is what it is. It plays out like it is. The Brewers lost the game. All right. I'm not sugarcoating this loss at all. They lost. And now Wade Miley, we're not going to find out probably until Wednesday when Pat Murphy talks to the media before the game, what his status when Miley reports to the ballpark, how that knee is. There's nothing cracked in there, it seems. Right now, that's the good news. He did stick around and pitch for 3 innings, despite taking that rocket off the knee. So I don't have to tell you that they can't afford to miss any more quality starters out of this rotation, any more pitchers out of this rotation. They're already down to using an opener again coming up on Wednesday afternoon. So, but I thought in absence of Miley, the bullpen was great. 5 relievers covered 6 innings for the Brewers. And yeah, if the offense rallies and wins the game, the relievers are the story of this game. You even saw Abner Uribe get some middle relief work there. Inning and 2/3, 3 hits, 2 Ks. Just trying to get him going once again. So you're seeing, the Brewers exhausting their bullpen. The starting rotation questionable as it is. Now injuries taking their toll. And could we see Miley going on the injured list? God, I hope not. I just got to keep this thing together. Murphy stated at the press conference tonight after the game, I love my team, throwing his weight behind the team, talking about how well they've been playing and, breaks and all that. He did wish for like I said, a rain out on Wednesday that they could use a rain out. And that's just him being honest about his team. They probably could use a rain out and reset the pitching rotation, reset everything, the bullpen going into the series with the Cardinals beginning on Friday. We did see Sal Frelick play some third base for our first time this year. And Brewers did have some chances. 8th inning, they put up a threat. Later in the game, they had the bases loaded. Sanchez, good morning, good afternoon, good night on 3 pitches, struck out. And that ended a bases loaded threat. And I'm not just saying because he struck out with the bases loaded, but I really question why Gary Sanchez, why they went out and made this move. You know, I don't get it. 1 year, $7 million. Had a nice year with the Padres. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I think that money could have been spent in other areas on this team. They're severely lacking in starting pitching. I hate to hammer that down every day, but would have liked to see something happen, be creative, because they needed another starter or two real bad in this team. Real bad. And I don't mean to be gloom and doom, and I don't need you guys coming at me for that, but that goes without saying. Because we want our team, we're looking for this team to win a pennant, not just meander around, okay? They're 10-6 right now, still got a winning record, top of the division, okay, up the top of the division. I didn't check the standings after this one, but we want them to contend, and I think they're going to contend. But I'm a little worried right now with the way things are going with this pitching staff. The short starts, injuries, not having Devin Williams to start with, guys like Uribe struggling, Hoby Milner, who was out there tonight, but gave up a home run to the lefty the other day. There's guys in this bullpen I worry about right now who are struggling, who are counted on in higher leverage spots than maybe if Devin Williams was on this roster, and starters. I just did not like the makeup of the starting rotation going into the season, and I'm a little worried. I'm talking like this team is 5-10, but and the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't want 27 hours of postseason baseball this year. 92 wins is great. We're trying to move this team in the right direction and win a pennant this year. Winning a division is nice, but I'm trying to get this team. I want to see this team, contend for a World Series championship. And I know that might be a little much by saying that, but that's the goal after 55 years, okay, of watching this team, or of this team being a franchise. I didn't watch it for all 55, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. Struggled out there, and the offense a little light again tonight. The offense has been so good. I get that. So good. Okay. Offense had a couple of threats, but lacked the key hit. Okay. Contreras did extend his hitting streak to 12 in a row. I mean, just amazing that guy is. Little flare out the right field for a base hit. But, I would say the stars of this game, though, in the loss, the 5 relievers going 6 innings, Contreras with another base hit. The bad news, we don't know what's going on with Miley. Seeing Frelick over at third was good news, but only scoring a couple of runs in this game. That was the bad news. All right, Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Not surprising, Christian Yelich is on the injured list. We're going to get to that. Mr. May is back up on this roster as well. Owen Miller. All that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. PrizePicks. Baseball season underway. Don't miss out on your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePick entry. Your PrizePicks entry, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, take your pick of more or less, add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Get in on all the playoff action, up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks. And you could be playing with the world's best players. Take the game to a new level in basketball's postseason as well, which was underway on Tuesday night. Download the app today. Download PrizePicks. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for that first deposit match of up to $100. Again, download the app, PrizePicks. Promo code Locked On MLB, a first deposit mix match up to $100. Your chance to get in on all the action. It's fun. It's easy to use. And it's a way to really multiply your money up to 100 times. Download the PrizePicks app today and play along. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are coming right back. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major platforms. There's a ton of platforms on there. We're on all of them. And, of course, YouTube, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. And, of course, I always want to hear from you 24/7 on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Hit me up on Twitter. And always love to see what you have to say. Always tag me. You have something to comment or whatever about the Brewers, something you want to get off your chest. Always love to hear from the great Brewer fans out there, the well-deserved Brewer fans who deserve greatness. And you know what? When I'm critical of the Milwaukee Brewers, it's not because, I want to get down on these guys. It's because I want better things for all of us. We have a nice ballpark. We have a beautiful ballpark. Even though I saw some rankings last week where the Brewers were ranked in the bottom third of baseball with their ballpark. I think some guy from Bleacher Report had that one out. It's like, has he spent some time at AmFam Field? And he was just trashing AmFam Field, which I think I love being there. I enjoy being there, but I want to see some championships there because we all deserve it. You do, I do, all the great fans of this team. I saw Angel Hernandez, the home plate umpire, right away involved in a controversy, right away, a balk call from behind home plate, made the balk call tonight. It was like right away, balk call. And I don't believe that factored in. I don't think that was after the 3-run home run by Kim that Miley gave up. But I was like, oh, no, this is not how this night's going to go. And then Hernandez, I guess, was pretty quiet because we know that guy likes to make himself the story, involve himself in every storyline. But he started right away there in the first inning. Okay. Christian Yelich on the injured list. This was no surprise. They announced this before the game tonight, and it's retroactive till Saturday. I saw Sophia interview him in the dugout, asked him about his charity thing for the first minute, which I know you got to do to soften him up a little bit. And then you get the question at the end, hey, by the way, what's going on with your back? Yelich didn't provide too much substance on that, taking it one day at a time and all that BS. So we'll see, stuff we've heard before with that neck or with that back. And hopefully Yelich is back soon. Mr. May, Owen Miller back on this team. Boy, things went bad for him quickly last year. I think he was 0 for 2 tonight with 2 strikeouts. But, it'd be great nice guy to have around when he's hitting. I mean, he was so clutch at times early in the season last year. And then by the end of the year, he found himself not even having a roster spot on this team. He was down to AAA. But Owen Miller back on the team. We'll see where he fits in. I was going to talk about Rhys Hoskins tonight, but I think I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I think I'm going to save Rhys Hoskins for tomorrow. But Yelly, there's no doubt, missing a guy who was batting .333, 5 home runs at this point of the season, big loss. He's a big cog, whether you like him or not. I know a lot of you guys are out there frustrated, and I get it. But this team needs Christian Yelich, and hopefully he gets back. And again, this is something, managing that back is something they're going to have to do with him for the rest of his career. Team has got to stop the bleeding. It's got to stop. The bleeding has got to stop. And hopefully it's on Wednesday. Quick turnaround, noon start coming up on Wednesday at AmFam Field. We don't know who the starter is going to be for the Milwaukee Brewers. And, this is the way it's just going to be all season long. We're going to have openers and do that sort of thing. We were introduced to openers back in 2018, and my gosh, it's April, and we're using openers already. Monopoly. Monopoly is a classic game. Classic game. I love that game as a kid. No question about it. As an adult as well. It's such a fun game. And right now, It's been downloaded over 150 million times. Monopoly Go, a great twist to the board game Monopoly, where you can play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in just crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big time money. How they invented this, I don't know, but it looks to be a really cool game. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google. And if you're a competitive guy like I am, you can play with other guys, other players, people that you don't even know. And there's so much to do on this game. Monopoly Go. If you played the game Monopoly, the board game, you are going to love Monopoly Go. Also, this show, brought to you in part by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book for a reason, because it is playoff time in the NBA. Baseball in full swing. FanDuel, your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. $150 in bonus bets guaranteed with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks. Get it all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? FanDuel.com/lockedon. Maybe you want to bet on the Brewers coming up on Wednesday, thinking they're going to avoid the 3-game sweep, stop this 3-game losing skid as well. Get on a FanDuel. And again, pick up the $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. All right, we're coming right back and head down the home stretch and tee it up for Wednesday afternoon's game between the Milwaukee Brewers and San Diego Padres. That's coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host, here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I see Jesse Winker hit a home run the other day. That guy seems to be balling with the Nats a year or two late. You know, maybe he wasn't healthy last year with the neck and all that. Maybe he wasn't 100% healthy, but he seems to have turned things around with the Nats. I liked when Jesse, the move initially, when they got it from Seattle, and, you know, he didn't fit too well in Seattle, and obviously at the plate, our lasting memory is the 2 pinch hit performances in the playoff series against Arizona, where some of you thought that Craig Counsell was waving the finger at the Brewers by putting in Winker in 2 spots, which wasn't the case, but I can see where you're coming from. Jesse Winker seems to be off to a pretty good start with the Nationals so far. Wednesday, coming up, is a 12:10 start. Very early start. Early start. Man, this is going to be an early start. 12:10, and the Brewers do not know who they're going to start. Now, this is a problem because Bryce Wilson is going to see a lot of innings. You remember back in spring training, they really stretched out Bryce Wilson for multiple innings because they had this in the back of their mind. So whether he starts tomorrow or there's an opener in the first inning, Bryce Wilson is expecting to cover multiple innings, if not more, coming up on Wednesday. We'll see how that goes for Bryce Wilson, who earlier this year gave up a 3-run home run. But Bryce Wilson is your man starting coming up on Wednesday afternoon. I didn't write down the starter. Well, Michael King, the starter for San Diego. So maybe the Brewers can get to him, get this offense going a little bit. It's been stuck in the mud. I don't think this is going in the wrong direction, although the one caveat to that is the pitching staff does concern me a little bit. If that pitching staff, if some of those guys can't overperform and we can't get Uribe straightened out, Hobie Milner, and have a little offense, because if this offense isn't going to cook and that starting rotation is going to struggle, that's a bad recipe right there. I don't have to tell you that. But I don't think this is going in the wrong direction. The Brewers have built up some equity with the quick start, the 10-3 start. They've lost 3 in a row. Come back, take this game with San Diego, reset going into St. Louis coming up this weekend for a big 3-game series. So if they've already dropped the series. They've lost their first series of the year. And you know what? They're not going to win every series. We know that. So they dropped this series at home. There's going to be other series. Remember, they got swept at home by Oakland. This is going to happen to every team. They went this deep in the season with 16 games without losing a series. They hardly have played any home games, a lot of road games. So come back. Don't get swept. I think that's the key. Don't get swept in the series. Boy, you heard that stat with the Baltimore Orioles the other day on the Brewers broadcast. They were talking about how Orioles had not been swept in a series since like 2022. That's the mindset you got to have. You don't want to get swept in any of these series. Keep the losing skids to a minimum. You can't afford a 6 or 7 game losing skid at any time of the season. Let's bounce back, win this game against San Diego. You go 1-2 in the series. Simple math. And the Cardinals on tap for Friday. We'll get ready for that. All right, everybody. Brewers did lose. 4-run first inning, 3-run shot off of Miley. We'll check out his knee. We'll have a recap tomorrow on the game. We'll have a status on Miley. Well, we won't have an update on Yelich because we know that he's already on the injured list. But I expect the Brewers to be making some pitching moves. I expect overnight we could possibly see some transactions. Maybe calling up some fresh arms. I don't know, because it's going to be Johnny Bullpen coming up on Wednesday. And yeah, I think they know who the spot starter is going to be, who's going to be the opener tomorrow. They're not going to tell us. They don't have to tell us. I heard the media in the press conference today. Murphy was, being bombarded with questions. Who's going to pitch? Well, how do you look for the bullpen? And Murphy's not going to give the keys of rotation away tomorrow. He's not going to say, well, yeah, we're going to go Murphy for 2. We're going to go Bryce Wilson for 2. And, Peguero's going to cover 1 in there. And, we're going to bring in Milner. They're not going to do that. I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to tell me the game plan. I'm in the media, but I don't want to they deserve to keep that to themselves. So we'll see who the opener is tomorrow. But he did mention Bryce Wilson. Expect Bryce Wilson to be a big contributor on the pitching end for the Brewers coming up. All right, that's going to do it for the show today. Again, you get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads. Go to our Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Please follow us on YouTube. There's comments on there. Chuck Freeman on Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. All right. These last 3 days have not been fun. Back on the horse on Wednesday afternoon. Get the job done against the Padres, who, they got a good team. I think that's a playoff caliber team. Got some good bats. But, the Padres put up the 4 runs in that first inning. The relievers shut them down the rest of the night. So the Brewer offense has got to get back on track. They've been so good. Let's get them back on track going into St. Louis. Good night, everybody. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, all your everydayers. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, everybody.